Wait, did he just say Nickelodeon? He said nigger.
Is that what this was his whole time?
Got your ass. Zap your dumb ass. Bow down to a true pimp, bitch.
Mona me.
Shit's made out of Laffy Taffy. Bow down to a true Mona me.
Oh, that's
Holy
funny.
shit, Cakes, man. That's
That
like
is
the
funny.
funniest thing in the world, dog.
Oh, man.
Still probably the best one. He said,
Yeah,
bow
that's got to be the
down
best
to
one.
the true Mona me. Got his ass rocked. Oh, my God, Ray J. Oh, my God, Ray J.
Yep. Kanye, Ray J, divorce, yay.
Hey, hey.
Hey. Say.
Say. Hey, baby. Gonye. Gunoye. Koye. Arabaye. Bombay. Ali Boombaye. All right.
Tony, yay.
Shit. 3. 2. Tony, yay. God, I hate your guts. Yo, welcome to Unfair Sports, where we take a pensive approach to the sports conversation. I am your host, Jay, with your favorite co-host, Jimmy.
Yo.
Thank you for watching us here on YouTube and listen to us wherever podcasts are downloaded and listened to. While you're there, make sure you like, subscribe, comment, follow, rate us, and review us. Give us 5 stars. You think we deserve it? Man, just give us 5 anyway.
Gifted.
So, on today's episode of Unfair Sports, we are going to dive into college football, beginning with some serious and not so serious teams. Drama is building up in Philadelphia via Joel Embiid. Let's try to decipher what he's saying. NFL previews of the AFC, NFC awards, and which quarterback is going to flame out. Hit us up on the Unfair Fan Line, 430-901-1906, and leave us a message. Let us know what you think about the show. You may end up on here based upon the voicemails if they are appropriate. So hit us up on the Unfair Fan Line, 430-901-1906.
Jam Master Tony J.O. What's going on?
What it do, baby?
All right.
So seductive on me.
What's going on, man?
Oh, man. Hey, just holding on like a hubcap in the fast lane.
Yes, sir.
What a weekend. It started. College football has begun. We've got to get some action popping off. But before we jump into some of this stuff, let me talk about a couple things. First off, show updates. These are the changes that you will see with the show. We will continue the traditional Tuesday show with myself and Jimmy whenever we are 100% available, unless Jimmy gets arrested once again. We don't really want that to happen, hopefully.
It happens about once a month on average.
Roughly.
Yeah.
I kind of root for it. It's kind of my fault. I usually call in the tip. But no, weekly Tuesday show will be here. So recapping, of course, the weekend action. Midweek, we plan on having a daily fantasy sports updates with the OSG, the other side of the game. He plans on doing something weekly now instead of doing just the write-ups. We'll still have the write-ups. We'll have a weekly show where we'll conversate. Jimmy should join us sometimes. We'll jump in and we'll talk daily fantasy and just some things to keep in mind when betting. Frozen 5 will make its return. I will have my video up first thing Saturday morning. Jimmy will have his audio up every Saturday, Friday or Saturday with his solos. And you'll have your picks. They will definitely be posted on our Twitter account, so you can follow us there at Unfair Sports, and you'll be able to see those every week as we try to win the Westgate Super Contest without actually being in it this year due to that Rona. But we're going to get into it whenever things aren't ridiculous and we can actually physically go to Vegas. And then lastly, Jimmy will have his solos every other week. I will be on the OSG report every week, and I will throw out random videos throughout the week, which may end up being a podcast that will throw the audio for all the audio listeners. I may just, put all that stuff together and push it out there for you. we'll see what happens.
So in short, we have a lot of content coming every day, every other day.
Roughly. It's going to be a busy football season. The goal is to really expand and grow into every field and facet, provide you guys with the content you want. So hit us up on that on the Unfair fan line, 430-901-1906, and let us know what you like, what you don't like, what you want to hear more of. That way we can actually provide you with the good goods. But with that, Jimmy, let's start off with this. College football season is here. So the full week 1 slate finally finished last night with the Notre Dame victory over Florida State, 38-35 in overtime.
41-38.
My bad.
Yeah.
41-38 because it was 38-38 going into the half. My apologies. So we had that, and then we had every other game that was exciting. But we want to focus on some of the top games to get a better understanding of who in the hell's serious and who in the hell ain't. Let's go with the first game, Jimmy. I think this is probably the one that a lot of fans got a chance to watch. It was at the Duke's Mayo Classic out in North Carolina.
Yes.
In Charlotte, North Carolina. And we expected this evening game to be a lot bigger than I think what it turned out to be, where the Georgia Bulldogs faced the Clemson Tigers. They defeated them 10-3 in what I think was hands down one of the worst football games I'd ever watched in my life. But it also told me some things that may transpire throughout the season. And so, Jimmy, I want to ask you this question to open it up for the field. Is Georgia serious? Is it fair to say that Georgia is serious this coming season? And is it also fair to say that Clemson is not serious?
It is fair to say that Georgia is serious. Winning the game like this, a defensive battle, 10-3. Essentially, they won it off of a pick six, to be honest.
Yes.
Pick six. So I would say Georgia is serious because in the SEC, with some of the teams they're going to be facing, especially if you're talking about going deeper into the season, you have to be able to play in comfortably and win games like this, where your left hook's not working, right hook ain't working, uppercut can't land it. All you can get is body blows. You got to be able to do that. So they showed in this game against a real program that they were able to win this type of game. Just make that one extra play in addition to getting 7 sacks against a Clemson offensive line, which is a real offensive line. So I think that you can say Georgia is serious because they're going to have games like this, and their offense is going to get better. But with Clemson, I think that whatever it is that was wrong with their offensive line, I don't think it was with schematics. I think it was just that Georgia was just that much more bigger and more powerful than them. You can't take them serious because ultimately if they run the table, and I think most people expect them to, leading into potentially a playoff spot despite this loss, that you're going to come up against a defensive line, again, like Georgia or like Alabama, and at that moment you probably aren't going to have an answer, especially when later in the season your offensive line is not the same offensive line you have right now, right? Just because of the injuries and the attrition of the season. So for that reason, in addition to the fact that their quarterback taking over for Trevor Lawrence, DJ Uiagalelei, I didn't see anything special. I didn't see that spark. I didn't see anything to where he was able to put the team on his back. Now, granted, this is, he started before because I think Lawrence missed the game last season.
He played against Notre Dame. They almost won that game, but they did lose it when he coached. So he's started 2 losses. He's 0-2 as a starting quarterback.
And I know this was the first game, but I didn't see anything in there that would make me think, okay, at some point this season, it's going to click. He's going to really put the team on his back. I didn't see anything special. I'm not saying he's not a special quarterback. I just didn't see anything special in his game to help his team overcome the hump in a game like this. So for that reason, in addition to whatever happened to the offensive line, I cannot take Clemson serious right now.
So I'm going to give you the aspect of Georgia's defense being ridiculous. They have a really good defense, and it's funny, but Monty Jones had mentioned it on Twitter that this is probably what Georgia's going to do all season to like everybody. Their defense is actually legit. The thing that baffles me about Georgia is they always have this type of talent, and they always fall flat on their face. Never fails. I'm going to continue that thought process because I expect them to fall flat on their face once again. I don't know. So to answer my own question, first off, I think Georgia is serious with that defense. Their offense probably better than I expected. Clemson is definitely not serious. Now, this kind of goes back to our preview show where you actually had North Carolina coming out of the ACC, going to the playoff game after that Vitek game. It's probably not going to happen.
No.
But I also don't think that Clemson's going to come out of the ACC. I actually don't think anybody's going to come out of the ACC. And I'm actually really pissed off at the Big 12 for screwing up the opportunity for them to have 2 teams in the college football playoff, because they could have, but they ruined it by having the conference championship game and forcing everybody to play in a round robin. Because the 2-loss team is not making it. But Clemson's not. Clemson's not serious, and this is the reason why. If they couldn't do this against Georgia, they're going to have problems in the ACC with Miami. They're going to have problems, and I'm not sure if they play Miami this year. I have to look at the schedule. But they're going to have problems with just about every other team in the ACC because talent-wise, yes, Clemson is probably way better than everybody else talent-wise. Woo, Georgia gave it. They beat them up. And luckily, they don't play Miami this year. The only competition they have is going to be in the ACC championship game, which will be between Miami and North Carolina, who they're going to face. They're not getting past, I think, either one of those two, even though North Carolina really pooped the bed in their first game. They got beat up. They just got manhandled. That's basically what happened. They got manhandled, and that tells me I'm more concerned with a lot of schematics when it comes to them, to be honest. The thing that bothered me was that 4th down that Clemson had, the final play, and I looked at the field and immediately thought, Georgia has been very successful with their blitzes this game, to the tune of Clemson only rushed for 2 yards net all game. 2 yards. So if the blitz is working and it's 4th down, why wouldn't I blitz again? What did Clemson do? They were not prepared with a quick play on a 5. They could have did a quick 3-yard dig. Receiver would have caught it and got 5 yards. Easy, because they did an all-out blitz. And what happened? Made him throw it away. It was pinpoint to exactly what I thought was going to happen. And I'm thinking to myself, why wouldn't Dabo's team think that was going to be the same thing that's going to happen? You know what I'm saying? Why didn't he think that they were going to blitz him on the last play of the game? That seems like a thing that every team does at every single level. 4th down, 5 yards. What do? Go ahead and blitz, since you've been so successful, which is disappointing to me. So I think that Clemson is not serious because of that. Next game. Alabama, as Forrest Gump and them would say, went out and at the Chick-fil-A kickoff game, cooked Miami 44-13. I mean, they were up at the half 27-3, and it just did not look like Miami deserved to be on the football field against Alabama. Now, I had said on the preview show that I felt like Miami would have been a team to give Alabama problems, and obviously Alabama just proves everybody wrong every single week. Those that had Alabama not ranked in the top 5, or actually in top 4, people had them actually ranked as 4th. They just felt like with Bryce Young, new offensive coordinator, no, didn't matter. Alabama went out there and did it. So, Jimmy, I want to ask you, do you think Alabama is serious this year? Is it fair to say that Alabama is serious?
Like, is it even fair to even ask that question?
I mean, right?
Yeah, and to some degree, part of what I was going to say attributes to what you just said as far as what they lost. So, Field Yates, as we all know, he does ESPN fantasy and stuff like that.
Amazing.
Had a fantastic quote that pretty much summed up everything about this 44-13 practice that Alabama had against Miami. He says, Field Yates, so Alabama lost the Heisman Trophy winner, another first-round wide receiver, a first-round quarterback and running back, 3 drafted offensive linemen from the best O-line in football, a first-round cornerback, the MVP of the national championship, the top assistant coach in college football, and just comes back like this. That's it. And I think we've said this before. It's kind of echoing what we've said before, that anything to do with college football on any level, whether it's gameplay, practicing, schematics, recruiting, Nick Saban has everything figured out. He has the entire game in the palm of his hands. And this is...
He got the whole world in his hands.
Exactly. And this is a testament to that, because Miami is a real program. They're ranked 14 for a reason. And it looked like a scrimmage. You have your quarterback who hasn't started a game before going out there just having fun. 344 and 4 touchdowns for Bryce Young?
9 yards per pass.
9 yards per pass? When you lost everybody on your team last year?
It's
not
preposterous.
Fair. It's not fair is what it is.
It really isn't. And it feels like, and I will understand if people say that Alabama's team this year can beat the worst NFL team like the Jets
so
on the neutral field.
So we're getting into that territory, are we?
I can understand people saying that. It's ridiculous, but I understand people saying it because of what they did. They dismantled those boys. Now, the other thing is Miami just doesn't really want it. They don't want to win like they used to. They want to be considered, it's a private school. They want to be considered more academic than they do football. So they don't want the glory years of the 90s that Miami was out there, 80s and 90s being ridiculous. They just don't want it like they used to. And so I get that. So they're not going to be great anymore. So we got to stop thinking that the U's ever going to come back because they won't. That's on the administration. But I thought they were going to give us a better fight than this. This is crazy. Alabama just dismantled them. And like you said, they are prepared in every way, shape, or form for anything that comes toward them. So I'm not going to amend what I said as far as the championship goes, but I do believe that Alabama's just going to run through the SEC. It's ridiculous. So,
and that's in a way, this is going to turn into a bad television product because there are going to be some teams, primarily SEC teams on Alabama's schedule, that later on in the season you're going to look forward to. You're going to plan kind of an entire day around being able to watch Alabama face whatever this team is
and blow them out,
thinking you're going to get a good game, and then by the end of the first quarter, you know that you have now 2.5 hours to kill because you can't watch this. You're
not going to watch second half of any of these games. Nobody's going to watch second half of most of Alabama's games.
That's a problem.
It really a problem for college football. They got to figure out how to fix that. Exactly. The solution is paying the players out of the school budget, out of that TV money, so you can really make Alabama work hard. Because
no, it's simpler than that. Spot every team that plays Alabama 14 points. Let's start there.
But that's not going to be fun. People are going to complain. It's not fair for LBM. But no, you're right. We need to just break rules and change everything because it's
evolve.
They are. Second half of Alabama games are going to be unwatchable. That's unfortunate. Now, hopefully, Florida and Florida A&M and I think Auburn has home games this year versus them. I got to remind myself if Auburn's at home real quick. I'll look right now. But I know that Florida and Texas A&M are on the road. Okay. So hopefully they're playing at Auburn. So hopefully those 3 games actually gives us some competitiveness that we need. But I'm a little concerned about that. The only last thing I want to say on this, though, and I think this is the thing that kind of has always perturbed me about Nick Saban, as dominant as his teams are, I don't understand why he keeps refusing to do home and homes. That's the one thing that he refuses to do with good teams. Alabama does not do home and homes versus good teams, and that bothers me. It's always neutral site games, and then the SEC. And I guess the thought process is, well, we play the SEC, it's tough. Well, give me a home and if they would have went to Miami, I think the score would have been different.
That's a big part of what I want. I've got quite a few issues with the way the NCAA does their scheduling when it comes to college football. Case in point, this weekend there's pretty much no watchable game outside of, I think, Ohio State and Oregon 4 versus 11, but that's at 11 a.m. Central Time. After that, there's really no other watchable game. So I understand that, but here's the thing. Like I was just talking about with Nick Saban, analytically, he probably has looked at the schedule and the outcome and the win percentage and the stats and all that of every team like that, a big-time program who's done home and homes like that. So if he's not doing it, like I said, he's mastered every part of this, even down to the scheduling. So if he's not doing that, it's for a strategic reason that for some reason, somehow doing that hurts your season at some point.
No, it does. And then think about it. And before we go too far in this, but think about this. Ohio State, Oklahoma, they're infamous for doing home and homes against other good teams. They played each other.
Yes.
Oklahoma has Georgia coming to Norman in a few years. They have Nebraska coming in twice. They got Tennessee coming in again. They got Michigan coming in. That's the one thing I've always given to Oklahoma, even though it does become a fault sometimes. They are willing to go play a good team at home and on the road and see what happens. That Ohio State Oklahoma back and forth with Baker Mayfield, that was probably some of the best football games I had watched in a long time. And they split.
Yeah.
Oklahoma won in Ohio State, and Ohio State won in Norman. So that did nothing but help their resumes look better. Alabama never wants to be the team on the road that loses, which to me, like I said, is super bothersome. So speaking
of super bothersome,
as we talk about our beloved State of Oklahoma Sooners. Oklahoma decides to be a charity case to our beloved friends with the Tulane Green Waves, and they won the game, but barely, 40-35. At one point, Tulane was up, was at 14 to it's so bad, dog. 14-7. Tulane was up, and then Oklahoma decided to, open up the floodgates in the first half. And then Lincoln Riley does what he traditionally does. He took his foot off of the gas, and Oklahoma only scored 3 points in the second half by winning 40-35. So if you did the math, Oklahoma was up 37-14 at halftime. So Jimmy, got to ask this question now. Is it fair or unfair to say that Oklahoma is not serious this season?
They're going to play teams with a lot more talent, who are in a lot more comfortable situations than what Tulane had to go through just in the week or so leading up to this because of Hurricane Ida and having the game displaced from their home field to Oklahoma. They're going to play teams a lot tougher than that. So although this is the first game, schematically, probably not too much is different from what they normally do. They know the playbook, they know the schemes, they know the game plan, but it just seems like every year we continue to run into the exact same thing, primarily on the defensive end, where if you allow a team like Tulane to score 35 points, 35 convincing points because they never took their foot off the gas, they never quit, like you said Lincoln Riley did with the playbook by closing the playbook in the second half, thus signifying that there is no killer mentality in him, which is exactly what you need when you face a Georgia or an Alabama. We keep running into the same thing where teams like this are able to hang around. They had a chance to actually take the lead. Right? It was a 4th and 1, OU 44, and they couldn't convert it. What if they had? And what if they kept going and then put up 42 if they had already put up 35? So, to me, it's hard for me to take OU serious after this because we keep running into the same problem. Spencer Rattler, just going to have to live with this, Sooner fans. He's going to turn the ball over. That seems to be what he did last year and what he's already doing this year.
He started the season off last year with turnovers, and then he calmed it down. But I'm going to answer the question, and I'm going to tell you, I still think Oklahoma is serious. This is why. This is traditional Oklahoma football.
Right.
And let me explain to you what I mean by this is traditional football, Oklahoma football. Let's go back in time. 2006. Oklahoma versus Oregon. Y'all remember that onside kick that Oregon got that they shouldn't have? Mm-hmm. Tulane got an onside kick down 40-35 to end the game. For some reason, everyone looked at it and didn't know if it was a hot potato or not. They didn't know if they was jumping on it or not. Tulane got that onside kick, had the opportunity to take the lead. OU's defense did step up and stop them, unlike at the Oregon game. But this is traditional for Oklahoma. Houston, a few years back, the Oregon situation. Mm-hmm. Oklahoma has a tendency of teams that they should not lose to or should not leave in the game to start the year. They let them stay in the game. They let them be close. And this goes back to the Stoops era too. So when I was watching this and I saw that onside kick, I'm like, oh God, this is going to be Oregon 06 again. This is exactly what this felt like. But with that, Oklahoma has traditionally always gotten better as the season progressed. They get their bearings together. They play against all the Big 12 teams. They play against those air raids and all those high-powered offenses, and the team gets better. My question for Oklahoma is what is your defense going to look like later in the season when you play Iowa State and then when you play Oklahoma State and when you play Texas? You've got Texas in October. You got Nebraska. You're going to Nebraska in 2 weeks? You've got you got Texas at the Texas State Fair, and then you're going to deal with Iowa State and then Oklahoma State. You've got 4 big games that's going to be important. Hell, Kansas State is always giving Oklahoma problems, even though Kansas State is in Norman. They're in Kansas State this year. Mm-hmm. So if they'll be at Kansas State, it won't be as bad as it was when they came to Norman. But my point is that Oklahoma has to lock this defense down that everyone has overhyped and actually perform the way we need them to perform.
It's not going to happen. It's not going to matter. Even if they run through...
You're out on them, huh?
Even if they run through the rest of the season. Well, here's the reason why. Just in this one game, even if they run through the rest of the season, especially despite the fact that I picked them to win the championship, we both did, they're not going to be prepared enough or sharp enough to face any of the teams that they are going to see in the playoffs. And they will be there because they're pretty much there just about every single year. And this is a big part of the reason why the move to the SEC is going to hurt initially, but ultimately is going to toughen and sharpen this program to where they will be prepared to face SEC defenses and offenses to some degree, offensive lines, when they finally get there. Going through what's left of the Big 12 in spirit is not going to prepare them for that. So, yes, they will play better and they will beat teams with better rosters than Tulane, but it's not going to be good enough if the season's going to end the exact same way, which is them not holding the trophy when they had the talent to do it. That's what I'm talking about. That's why I'm out.
Jimmy's out, guys. I'm still in. I'm still on the bandwagon for now, but Jimmy is
Hope you're right.
out.
Hope you're right. I'll keep my receipt.
He's going to keep his receipt. Well, the thing we're not out here on Unfair Sports on our Mondays is the news.
And now Jimmy has the news.
Thank you, Wendy. All right, so Jay, you may have heard of this over the weekend that the WNBA, in commemoration of their 25-year history, has unveiled the W25, which is a list of the top 25 WNBA players of all time, which actually includes 10 current players, such as Sue Bird, Diana Taurasi, Candace Parker, and others. Have you had a chance to take a look at this list, or just what's your thought about it?
I haven't taken a gander at it, but I think it's awesome. That's perfect. 25 years. You said 25 players, right?
Yes.
So it's similar to the way the NBA does. Like they do the 50-year anniversary, the 50 players, and 75 anniversary. I love it. I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, I think so too. And I was like, well, just as long, and I knew they would. I was like, Lisa Leslie, as long as Lisa Leslie and Cheryl Swoops is on this list, then I don't care what you do with the rest of it. As long as you have those two, those are probably my two favorite WNBA players of all time. So I think this is a really good thing, a really good way to bring attention to the sport, and just there's a very rich history with some fantastic basketball talent in the W. So this is a demonstration of that.
Only disappointing thing is that the league doesn't go back far enough for the Cheryl Miller to be in there, because she was
one of the best ever. Just period on any level.
Period. Okay. All right,
what you got? Somehow. All right, so next, so Dallas Cowboys fans, a little bit of bad news if you haven't heard this yet, and that is when you take the field this Thursday to face the defending champ Tampa Bay Buccaneers, you will not have your right guard. Zach Martin, 6-time Pro Bowler, is on the COVID-19 list, and he is out for the opener.
That hurts. I mean, you need your line. So I'm not sure what the repercussions are going to be from this. I'm hoping they're prepared. They should be, but tough break.
It's almost like that's one lane you can't run through, that you can't expect. Not that much was going to be there anyway, since you're probably facing the best run defense still in football. So this just makes it that much tougher. Zeke Elliott said he's our best player. So already you're pulling out into the ether that we're not going to have our best player, and we're already 7.5-point underdogs, which I took after I talked to Chris about it on Saturday at the barbershop. Now I regret it because I found out this probably like 30 minutes after I'd already placed my bet. So, fantastic. Can't wait for Thursday.
What else?
All right, so lastly, and I've been teeing this up, Jay. So I told Jay that I have an NBA story that involves him directly and that might, in fact, somehow get him paid. Here's the story. So, NBA 2K22 comes out this Thursday.
It does.
The night. And there was a story last week that in the game, each home arena is going to have their usual public address announcer. That's who's going to be voicing their home arena, just to add to the authenticity of the game. So I thought to myself, well, if they have them, wouldn't they have the DJs or the DJs who fill in for them? So, Jay, given that to some degree you have one of those jobs, if everybody who plays 2K, when you play in the Oklahoma City arena, if you hear an endless sort of playlist of Maroon 5 and Taylor Swift, you will know that Jay is in the game and that he's getting paid because of it. So congratulations, Jay. You're in the game.
God, I hate you. I hate everything about you. Is that it?
That's it. It's news.
And that was Jimmy with the news.
Thank you, Bob.
Oh, you're so repulsive.
All right, so Jay, before we pivot to the NFL preview, something we love doing every single year.
My favorite thing of the year.
Let's take a quick trip to the NBA and the land of Philadelphia, city of brotherly love.
Give it to me.
Where we had a Joel Embiid story speaking about this situation that they have with Ben Simmons,
right,
in terms of him not wanting to return to the team supporting him at first, and now they're looking for a trade partner. Big asking price. Daryl Morey and his I don't like Daryl Morey, but he's in this as well, obviously, since he's actually not even the GM. It's still Elton Brand, but he's one
the
of the
president. He's the president
so
of
he's,
basketball. So he's over He's Elton Brand's boss.
Right, which is even worse in my opinion because I like Elton Brand as a GM. But anyhow, so Joel Embiid talked about this supposed rift between he and Ben Simmons that people have said has been there for the last 3 or 4 seasons, that they don't like each other, don't play well together. Here's what he said. So he denied a report that he had a rift with Ben Simmons in a series of tweets saying that he loves playing with Ben Simmons. He said this. He tweeted, "Stop using my name to push people's agendas. I love and hate drama. Okay, I love playing with Ben. Stats don't lie. He's an amazing player, and we all didn't get the job done. It's on me personally. I hope everyone is back because we know we are good enough to win." So, Jay, flying in the face of what people have traditionally said, that they don't play well together and that they don't like each other, he's saying that that is a lie, that he loves Ben Simmons and he wants him back on this team. So can you explain to me why he is saying this, and especially if Joel Embiid is telling the truth?
Well, I don't know. I don't think it's fair to say that he likes Ben Simmons, that we're creating a false narrative around him. And I'll say that to say this. If I'm correct, wasn't there reports like at the beginning of Ben Simmons' career that NBA players did not like him?
Yes.
I want to make sure that I wasn't crazy when I say that. People don't like Ben Simmons. Something about him, his attitude, his arrogance, something. There's people that just do not like him. Mm-hmm. And of course, it's going to bleed over into the league because now he's a pro basketball player. So why wouldn't it bleed over? You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So Joel Embiid saying that he enjoyed playing with Ben Simmons and everything. His face told us that he didn't enjoy playing with Ben Simmons after him passing on that dunk in the freaking playoffs. Yeah. He passed on a dunk, passed it, and thing got turned over. That told me right there, yeah, he's starting to get tired of it. Because if it's someone that you enjoy playing with and they make a mistake, you don't react that way to where everyone recognizes you react. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like, we've seen Ben Simmons pass on stuff and everything, and we've seen Joel Embiid's face where Joel Embiid doesn't really make that type of facial expression. You could see the disgust on his face when Ben Simmons passed on that dunk. And because of that, I think he's doing this just to play on the media and give us and say the right things in front of everybody. Mm-hmm. As much of a troll as he is, he wants to make sure he still says the right things. Mm-hmm. He's pretty good at that. You can tell that he's very meticulous about the words that he uses and the things that he says. He knows what he's doing. And so he's just trying to lighten up the situation. But he knows damn well he don't like Ben Simmons no more. Mm-hmm. That he wants Ben Simmons traded too. He needs another point. He's a point guard that's going to shoot. He needs someone that can handle the perimeter instead. Now, for Ben, I hope they trade him. At this point, he just needs to go. It's just not working. Period.
It has reached toxic proportions. That is true.
Yeah, toxic in every capacity. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah. Well, Joel Embiid is lying. We do know that.
He never been
but I know why he's lying, because like you said, he's meticulous about his words.
Yes.
And therefore, he's also meticulous about the intention of his words. And I know why he's doing it. First thing, how we know he's lying. One, we know that Ben Simmons does not make his job easier, because all he does is get people in the paint surrounding Joel Embiid where he can't go to work the way he wants to. Joel Embiid would play in the paint 100% of the time if he could, but he had to develop an outside shot because of all those people that were packing in the paint, because they know Ben Simmons can't shoot, and because they know all he's going to do is try to just ram himself into the lane, and you need more guys there because he's 6'10" and just a unicorn. So we know he's lying because of that. We also know this because saying that you love playing with Ben Simmons, at least as far as what I've seen, now I could be wrong. I don't read all of his tweets. I don't even follow him. But maybe he said something like this before. But I have never, ever heard him say that he loves playing with Ben Simmons and there's no rift. So if that's the case, why did it take you all this time to say that you love playing with Ben Simmons and that there is no rift, right? It doesn't make sense until you get to the third point. Here's the reason why he's saying this. You are right. He does want Ben Simmons traded. He knows that they don't like each other. He knows that he makes his job harder. But here's what I know. Joel Embiid, and you see this a lot in the NBA, being the star, they're getting into the front office conference rooms more when they're talking about deals, potential deals, etc. What Joel Embiid knows is that he's not going to get Damian Lillard. He knows that Philly has probably tried, but he knows he's not going to get Dame.
Every time they call Portland, Portland's like,
Right, exactly. So he not only knowing that, but he knows the other 1 or 2 or 3 deals that are potentially out there on the table, and he doesn't like any of them. He doesn't like any of those players, and you know that any of those players probably don't match or exceed what Ben Simmons provides. So he's saying, well, we might as well stick with him. I might as well keep him. If you're saying I got to play with D'Angelo Russell, who I'm not saying is a bad player, but he probably doesn't like him over Ben Simmons. So given what they have available, he's like, I'd rather just keep Ben Simmons. So in order to help that, let me say something that Ben Simmons will hear that will potentially get him into camp, since the word is Ben Simmons is not planning to report to camp and definitely wants to be traded.
I mean, Ben's not wrong for that either. They've been publicly trying to trade him.
After they said they had a plan, that's what really pissed me off, is Doc Rivers saying that we've got a plan for him, we can help him, and that's exactly what I thought that they should do, especially since he finally hit rock bottom and there was nothing to deny and no place to turn. And then you come right around, and I blame Daryl Morey for this, and it's trade Ben Simmons. That's why I don't like Daryl Morey. Crap like that.
It's like, hey Doc, we need a plan of attack. I got a plan. Attack. Coach, that's not a plan. That's what it feels like in this situation when it comes to Doc Rivers and Ben Simmons. So, yeah you're probably right. He's trying to lighten things up so that Ben will come back into training camp. They can at least get started with the season, and hopefully by the trade deadline, someone's like, screw it, we'll take Ben Simmons. We'll offer up a little bit more. We'll give you this player. We're going to blow ours up anyway. It's better to start with a 24-year-old who we can probably help mold into something over the next 6 years. Yeah. It makes sense.
I mean, if he knew Dame was coming to town, he either wouldn't have said this or he would have said something to kind of push Ben Simmons.
He wouldn't have said a word. He wouldn't have said a word. He wouldn't have said a word
nothing to mess this
up. If they would have
hit
him up and said that, all right, we've got a trade on the table, we're going to get Dame or somebody that he wants, he's going to be like, okay. He's going to.
Yep. Yeah, okay, you're right. Nothing to mess this up.
Nothing.
So that lets you know that they don't have anything for Dame Lillard. You think Dame wants to be in Philly? Or you think he wants to stay in Portland?
I think he wants to stay in Portland. The problem with Philly is they're asking for James Harden stuff, Harden level assets, when it doesn't make sense because Ben Simmons is not James Harden level.
No,
he's not even Anthony Davis level.
That's exactly right, because they probably could have done a deal with Golden State if they weren't asking for Wiseman, Wiggins, and the 7 and 14 pick, which turned out to be Kuminga and Moody, and both of those guys are ready to play.
Yeah, in this year's draft. If they would have taken one of those first and maybe a first the year after, that would have made more sense to go ahead and go. But now they wanted because they wanted both those and future picks, and it's like,
right, exactly. Really, Daryl Morey,
Ben Simmons, guys. He's Ben Simmons. I mean, he's 24 years old and he's pretty raw, but no, that he's not worth that much. Everybody has value, and unfortunately, his value isn't. His value's high. It ain't that.
I mean, what NBA players would be worth that from the Warriors? Just hypothetically, Wiseman, Wiggins, Moody, Kuminga, and a first-round draft pick next year, or your first and second next year. Who is worth that?
Kevin Durant.
Yeah.
James Harden.
Maybe Giannis.
Maybe
Harden. No, I would not give that up for Harden. You at least got to be a champion for me to do something like that.
Dame.
Even for Dame, I would be more inclined to go Dame than Harden, because I think Dame is more of a grown-up. But even that will be tough for me. Kevin Durant, yeah, absolutely. Right now.
Tomorrow.
Right now.
Yesterday.
I don't care that he's 32.
I did
31.
3 years. I would do it 3 years ago.
Exactly.
I mean, 3 years ago as of today. Like
I would have done it 5 minutes after he tore his calf, his Achilles.
Oh yeah, a minute. Wait, he tore his Achilles. We'll take him.
Yep.
Here, I'll give you everything. I'll give you the next 10 picks.
Yeah.
He's a guy that can do it. So
yeah,
I get that. We do this every year. Probably one of my favorite things to do.
Absolutely.
I love preview shows. I like talking about everybody and what's going on. We don't do the traditional preview shows for the newer listeners like everybody else does. We kind of condense it down. So these things that we'll focus on. We're, of course, going to do both conferences, the divisional winners. One of my favorite traditions that we always pick, there's 2 teams that are going to make the playoffs that didn't make it last year, and the 2 teams that they're going to replace. Because it's really weird how the NFL is set up. It's always like that. And then we'll do conference championship, Super Bowl champion, as well as our awards. If you're checking us out on YouTube, these will all be separate videos. You can go ahead and watch, see who we pick, and then let us know what you think in the comments. Like, subscribe, and all of that jazz, and share, because sharing is caring. And then outside of that, I'm very excited about this NFL season. This is why I'm super excited about this NFL season. These 5 quarterbacks are going to be intriguing. We're going to talk about at the end who we think's going to flame out. I want to tee y'all up for that because I think that's going to be fun to talk through. But this is the first draft since 1999. We talked about this on a few shows back, that we got 5 quarterbacks who drafted in the first round that will most likely get some starting time. We got that back then. And of course, not everybody survived. We'll explain why on the other end. But we're going to start off with the NFC. I think I like the NFC better this time around. We're going to talk through who we think is going to first. Let's start with divisional winners. And then we'll go through who the 7 teams that are going to make the playoffs. Okay. You ready? You feeling yourself?
Yes.
Feeling yourself? All right, Jimmy. I'm going to let you tee us off. Give me your NFC North winner.
NFC North winner is going to be the Packers.
Okay, that makes sense.
I mean, top to bottom, the most talented team in the division. I think the Vikings are definitely going to push them. They are better than people think, and nobody's talking about them. You get your pass rusher, Danielle Hunter, back. So they're going to push the Packers record-wise and maybe even split with them. The Bears, they're, I think, a year or two away. Once you get Justin Fields firmly entrenched as the quarterback, I think you'll have more of a legitimate shot. So I think they'll be pretty good this year. I think the Bears, but still the Packers, they're the class of the NFC North, so they take the division yet again.
Same. I got the Packers as well. They got Aaron Rodgers for one more year. So it's one of those, let's just see what happens. They traded and got back Cobb, so they gave him who kind of Aaron Rodgers wanted, and
like
adding him
third
with
down
Adams,
security blanket.
Yeah, his security blanket, one of the guys he really likes. And overall, Packers is just the best team in the North. So there's no reason for them not to win it. So East, who do you got in the NFC least?
NFC least. Let's go with the Washington football team.
Wow.
I think that they will still out tough Dallas and grind and find a way to win this division again, just like they did last year. And I think that in a way, we know essentially what Ryan Fitzpatrick is, that he has these spectacular games and then he has these games where he doesn't even look like he's ever played football before at the quarterback position. But I think what will help to mitigate that is that this Washington football team defense, that defensive line, is one of the most fierce in the NFL. So that will keep them in those games that Fitzpatrick flames out and actually win them some games when he's just decent, but he's not doing anything other than managing the game. I like that they added Curtis Samuel from Carolina in free agency. He's just a weapon. He can play running back. He can play wide receiver. 95 Madden speed, which I do care about that. As you listen to the show, I care about Madden speed. So 95. So I think that for all the hype and all the hard knocks and all the kicking off the NFL season, I think in the end it's just going to be the boring old Ron Rivera-led Washington football team.
Yep, they were the 3rd-ranked team DVOA last year. So that tells you a lot about how good defensively they are. But I'm the opposite on that. I'm going with the Dallas Cowboys. Okay. I say that because the Cowboys would have won the division last year if Dak did not get hurt. As bad as the defense was, that offense was still humming, especially with Dak out there. Yep. If they would have had Dak, they would have won it last year. They have Dak now. We'll see what he looks like. But honestly, a half Dak is better than no Dak. No, honestly, a half Dak is better than a full Dalton. And I'll just put it to you like that. So because of that, Cowboys wins the division, finally gets it back, takes over the East. NFC West.
NFC West, the Rams are going to win this division. Again, you fall back on having the best defensive player, period, and maybe even the second best defensive player, period, in Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey, respectively. So you have those two. And getting Matthew Stafford is going to be a pretty significant upgrade that people are overlooking over Jared Goff in this offense. So, yes, it hurts that they lost their starting running back Cam Akers, second year back. But I think that with the committee approach, they, especially in getting Sony Michel from, champion from New England, that they're going to do enough in the run game to set up the pass. So I think that this is the quarterback that McVay's been looking for, and this is exactly what he's needing in order to get back and get deeper into the playoffs. So I think that the Rams are going to be better than Seattle because at some point this season, like always, they're going to stop letting Russ cook, and that's going to hurt them. And the 49ers, I still worry about the injuries and them being unsettled at quarterback. If they're settled at quarterback, that means that Trey Lance is in there and he's a rookie, so I don't see him beating them. The Cardinals are questionable. I like J.J. Watt, especially from a leadership standpoint.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But it's something about this team late in the season. one thing I know I don't like as well is that they don't have Larry Fitzgerald, who's just kind of taking his time and deciding if he wants to come back and play.
Getting old.
Yeah, so I'm going to take the Rams.
Same. I actually, shockingly, I
is
picked
shocking.
the Rams as well.
Yeah.
And for the exact reason for you, Matt Stafford is going to play quarterback for a coach that played quarterback for like the last, 5 years for the Rams? So now he has the quarterback is replacing himself with an actual quarterback that he can still continue to be a quarterback with. So they can actually work together for a change. It's a different model now. Stafford can go out there and do his things. And at the same time, this is the best defense Stafford has ever had in his career. The Rams were number 4 in DVOA last year. Ridiculous defense. Aaron Donald, defensive player of the year, too many times to even count. You've got that now. You've got Sonny Michel at running back, so I think the running game's not going to be that bad. I think Sonny Michel would do better in this system than when the way New England does it by running back by committee. So him being more of a feature back, if he can stay healthy, there's no reason why the Rams should not win this division this time around. NFC South.
NFC South, it's going to be the Bucs, obviously. They don't face any threats in this division. I think what they're going to do with their divisional games is like practice mode in Madden where you just kind of lab different plays. So they're going to lab a lot of plays on defenses and offense against the Falcons. The Saints, they're going to be way conservative on offense because they don't want to give too much to Jameis Winston or put him in a position to be old Jameis Winston. And Alvin Kamara is not going to beat you by himself. So I think that the Saints really aren't a threat either. The Panthers, surprisingly, I think, are going to be the biggest threat. Not in the sense of winning the division, but I think they're going to push them a lot harder than people think. The Panthers pushed quite a few teams last season, and that's when Teddy Bridgewater, the ultimate game manager. I do like Teddy.
Yep.
But I think Darnold, he makes them a little more dynamic. I think they're, you get C-Mac back. You have a good collection of receivers, and that young defense is better than people think. So I think that they're going to push them. They may actually be one of the teams in this division to beat the Bucs, but that'll be it. They'll go 5-1, 6-0, easily win this division.
Yeah, I got the Buccaneers winning it as well, just because of the change of regimes that we've seen. The Saints are in salary cap hell in a way, and they're still trying to figure out those. No Michael Thomas, which I actually don't think is a bad thing. But to be honest, the Saints is kind of my surprise team. I don't know where to put them because I'm a lot higher on Jameis Winston than most. Jameis Winston threw for 5,000 yards and 30 touchdowns. He did throw for 30 interceptions as well, but I don't blame him fully for all of that. He just threw the ball too much. And at the same time, Bruce Arians feels like him and Leftwich together feels more like a coach that's really good with more veterans than they are with younger guys. At least that's what it feels like, in my opinion.
Right.
And because of that, I think Winston does well underneath Sean Payton, who's a little bit more creative with the way they do things. It feels like Arians and him likes a guy that can take command sometimes, and that's perfect for Tom Brady, where him and Leftwich can bounce the ideas back and forth, and Brady can be like, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and veto that idea. I'm going with this one. And Leftwich is like, cool. If you think it'll work, go for it. You the GOAT. And he can go do it. I feel like that's more the situation there. So, okay. What's your rankings as far as the NFC? Do you have your 1 through 7 seeds? Do you know who's going to be who's your last 3 play? Yeah. Who's your rankings in the NFC as far as playoffs? So that'll give us your 5, 6, and 7 after your 1 through 4. Because the divisionals, of course, are 1 through 4.
Yeah. Okay.
Who's going to take it?
So 1 through 4, I say the Bucs take the 1 seed, Packers 2, Rams 3, football team 4.
Okay.
And then the other wild card teams are the Seahawks are going to get in. The 49ers are going to be the 3rd team from the NFC West to get in.
Oh, wow. You think it's going to be 3 from the NFC West? Wow.
I think so.
Okay.
And I'm going to go with the Cowboys. But don't be surprised if the Cardinals get into this spot and the entire NFC West gets to the playoffs. But I'm going to say Cowboys.
I'm impressed. That is, I've never heard of a division having everybody make it the playoffs, especially if they're playing each other so much. But whatever, if you think it, hey, I'll let you have that.
Yeah.
Mine, I have the Rams with the number 1. The Bucs at 2, the Packers at 3, the Cowboys at 4. I have the Seahawks taking in the fifth. I know they're going to make it. The Washington football team at the 6th seed. And like you, I have the NFC West with 3 teams with the Cardinals making the 7th pick. I don't see the 49ers making it only because I think the 49ers will run into issues with quarterback. They don't know what the hell they're going to do yet, and I don't know how healthy they are yet. So
I think the only way the quarterback thing in San Francisco resolves itself is if Jimmy G plays the best football of his career and ends the talk of Trey Lance taking over, at least for this season. Maybe 2022 Trey Lance year, but for this season, Jimmy G's playing way too good. And I mean, they say he's had a great camp. Preseason didn't get a lot of reps. I mean, you know how it is with a veteran established quarterback. But that's what it's all about. If Jimmy G, I say they can go even higher than that if Jimmy G is the stable quarterback. But if it's Trey Lance time at any point this season, they may not make the playoffs, or they'll be in a lower seed, probably get bounced in the first round.
Okay, makes sense. All right, so 2 teams that make the playoffs that you feel like are going to make it this year that didn't make it last year. Mm-hmm. Who's your 2 teams? That was the
so made it this year.
It was the Cowboys and
the Cowboys
and the 49ers. So your 2?
Those are my 2 in.
So his 2 in are the Cowboys and 49ers replacing
the Bears and the Saints. You're out.
So I have the Bears and Saints out as well, but I have the Cowboys and Cardinals. So it's interesting. Yeah, that's a very interesting place.
So then
this was a lot tougher this year than it's been in years past because I have factors that I look at when it comes to it. I want to give you those quick factors real quick. 5 factors whenever I look at teams and how they're going to stack up: coach, quarterback, additions, subtractions, and how they finished the year before. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of top-heavy teams this year in the NFL, the same ones as last year. It's so hard to be able to predict who's going to replace who. And so when I was looking at this, the sleeper team I had, I mentioned this before, was the Saints. Keep an eye on them. There's a chance they could take that spot from the Cardinals because I don't know how Cliff Kingsbury is going to last. Mm-hmm. Cliff Kingsbury might lose his job after this season, depending on how they perform. But I can see the Saints make it in there. I can see them, especially the Vegas has their over-under at 9, and they have the Cardinals at 8.5. And Washington football team 8.5. There's a chance the Saints could end up beating that number and making the playoffs. I think that's the team to keep an eye out for. Mm-hmm. So, perfect. That is the NFC. Let's get started on the AFC in a second. NFL preview. We've got the AFC next. Make sure if you're watching this on YouTube, like, subscribe, and leave a comment. Tell us what you think. If it's bad, it's good. Whatevs. We appreciate all comments because it's sports. Nobody's ever 100%. No one bats 1,000, and we love that aspect of it. Also, if you're listening while you're there, rate, review, follow on Spotify, rate, review on Apple Podcasts, and give us 5 stars because you know that we deserve it. If we don't, just give us 5 anyway.
Give it.
AFC. So I mentioned last segment the 5 factors that I always do when it comes to rating these teams. And I want to open it up on the AFC side this way. I look at coach first, quarterback, additions, subtractions, and then the finish last year. Quarterback is second behind coach for a reason because some teams can win without actually having a quarterback. We've seen the Rams do that before. So, and the Bears, actually. So we're used to teams winning things without legitimate quarterbacks. I mean, there's somebody physically there, but are they really a quarterback? So let's jump right into the AFC. I'm going to start us off.
Let's go.
AFC North. I love to do it in the news. So we're going to start with the news. North. I have the Baltimore Ravens winning it. This is why. Additional pieces on defense. The Ravens every year, with Lamar Jackson at quarterback, they're 30-8. They have not had a losing season with him. They're consistent on everything they do. The way their offense is ran, you're not going to stop it. The question is can the defense do their part as well? So for me, during the regular season, the Ravens are always going to be the top. So I got the Ravens winning the North. Who you got?
I'm going to take the Browns to win the AFC North. I mean, top to bottom, I think that this may, outside of Kansas City, be the physically like the best roster in the AFC. On defense, part of what they've been needing on defense is a defense that can match the physicality that the Steelers and the Ravens have played with for all these years. So I think getting Jadeveon Clowney, getting John Johnson, really good safety out of the Rams, and one of the steals of the draft, they call him JOK. I think it's Jeremiah. I'm not even going to butcher his last name, but he's one of those who I think he got a little hurt, a little nicked up. It was something like that caused his draft stock to fall. So he's one of those kind of guys, kind of like Jalen Smith in a sense. So they get him on that defense in addition to what they already had. You know, Myles Garrett, probably the best defensive end in football. Then I think that Baker, another year under Kevin Stefanski, that power running attack, receivers who can catch the ball, and a good collection of tight ends, and even adding more to the offensive line. They've got everything they need. I don't take the Steelers as serious. I know they're going to be a good team still, but I don't take them as serious. And the Ravens, I mean, they're going to be there. It's one of the two. They're going to fight each other, but I think ultimately the Browns are going to prevail. Yeah, I think that the Ravens will end up winning it probably by like one game because of it. But you're right. And shout out to Baker Mayfield. He has proved every doubter wrong. Period. The dude has had 4 offensive coordinators and 4 head coaches in his career, and the dude had them
2 years in a row in the playoffs?
Yeah, what?
Had them in the playoffs 2 years in a row? Was it 2 years in a row? No, this is last year. Last year, they made the playoffs. I mean, Baker Mayfield helped lead the Browns to the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Guys, we got to give this dude some respect at this aspect, right?
Well, I would give the coach more of the credit for that, since he realized that the strength of the team was in the power running game, because part of what that does is it takes some of the weight off the quarterback's shoulders. I think Baker can play more comfortably because he knows he can lean on the running game, and on the defensive side of the ball, he can lean on Myles Garrett in the defense. So I think that makes it a lot easier for him. So, I mean, he had a good season. He didn't throw for like 5,000 yards or anything like that, but he had a good season. He's more than a game manager, but he's not quite a superstar level quarterback. I mean, he does his job. He plays within the system. Accuracy has never been a problem for him. So I think that he and Stefanski, like you mentioned, quarterback coach, are just like this, just a really perfect match for what Stefanski wants to do, because he sees what is actually best for Baker. I mean, yeah, you could design an offense where Baker could throw for 4,500 yards, but would you be as good as you possibly could be? Probably not.
I mean, 11-5 last year with Baker Mayfield going through all of those offensive coordinators and coaches. I mean, go listen to Mike Greenberg talk about that. I had to give him mad props for that because he's right. Baker has overcome a lot. Mm-hmm. The good thing about him, though, is the players haven't really changed. So it's him, Landry, Chubb. They've been kind of growing together. Yeah. They just can't. Stefanski's probably the best thing that's ever happened to him. So
I agree.
I feel you on that. All right. We went longer on that one, but because the next one's not going to be that hard. NFC East, Buffalo Bills. There's AFC East, the Bills. Mm-hmm. There's no reason why the Bills don't win this, even though I do feel like Josh Allen's going to take one step back this year. Mm-hmm. I think he's going to take a step back this year, and he's going to go 2 steps forward or 3 steps forward the year after. Everyone's going to be focused on preparing for him more this year than any, because a lot of people are going to be going after him. So, because of that, the Bills are going to win the AFC East. There's nobody else that's going to be able to win it.
The Dolphins are. This is the year that they break through and win this division. Yes. Brian Flores is going to break this team through, and they are going to beat the Bills, who probably are feeling themselves a little bit too much just based on what they did last season. But Tua is going to be better than people think this year, I think. And even if that doesn't work, they're probably going to work out a deal to get Deshaun Watson, who's probably still going to be able to play because of where he's at with his legal and civil matters and all of that. But this Dolphins team, I think, is every bit as talented on defense as Buffalo. They have a better run game. Obviously, they don't have a Stephon Diggs, but their collection of receivers, when you add Jalen Waddle and Will Fuller, that speed to what they already had, and they have a Pro Bowl level tight end, I think that this team is going to win this division over the Bills. Barely, but they're going to win this division over the Bills.
Wow. So you have the Browns and you have the Dolphins. Yes. I would have never guessed the Fins on you. Okay. West. AFC West. Chiefs.
Yeah, rinse and repeat.
All right.
But do you think
I don't even want to talk about the others.
Can any team push them in this division?
No, not this year.
There you go. There's your preview. There's your AFC West preview.
Yeah,
right
AFC
there.
West Chiefs. South. Now this is the one that gets even more interesting because it's really not that interesting. Tennessee Titans.
Yep.
This is the bad part about the AFC is that it's literally the AFC North and everybody else as far as competition goes. The North has all the teams that'll be fighting each other, battling inside. And to me, when it comes to East, West, and South, you I have it preordained who's going to be there. You decide to put the Dolphins in there and make it the East a little bit more competitive. But when it comes to West and South, I mean, it's the Titans. The Titans have the best roster in the South.
Yeah.
The Colts, they don't know who their quarterback is yet. I mean, I think Wentz is supposed to play week 1 now.
Yeah.
But I'm still concerned that he can't stay healthy. Houston is a dumpster fire. And then I forgot who else is there. I'm kidding. I didn't forget. It's the Jaguars. I know who they are. But it's the Jaguars. We forgot about the Jags.
The Jags probably are going to be the most entertaining team out of this division.
I got the number 1 draft pick. I am very intrigued on what Trevor Lawrence can do in a situation where he's not supposed to win.
There's some people that are actually picking the Jags to go to the playoffs.
Yes, I've seen that, and I think that's hilarious. But I think it's awesome that people actually have that type of Yeah, optimism. Yeah. We'll go with that word.
We'll go with that.
We'll do that. We're not going to call them what I think it is, but we'll go with optimism.
Yeah,
so
it's Titans.
Ratings as far as the playoff seeding. I've got the Chiefs as the number 1 seed. The Ravens will follow behind at number 2. The Bills will be the 3rd seed, and then the Titans will take the 4th seed. My 5 is the Cleveland Browns. They will make the playoffs again. Like I said, I am high on Baker Mayfield. The difference between the Ravens and the Browns will be 1 game. I think it's going to be a very close division. Because of that, the Chargers are going to make the playoffs, in my personal opinion. I feel like they are ready to make one big leap.
Wow.
I love Justin Herbert, and I feel like his calm personality will be good for him to finally go into hostile environments. Because remember, none of the rookie quarterbacks last year had to deal with hostile environments because there was no fans in the stadiums.
And they get Derwin James back, top 3, top 4 safety in the league, who I wanted in our draft last night and could not get. Well, actually, no, I picked somebody else over him, but he was my second choice if that guy hadn't been there. So,
you're welcome.
Love Derwin James.
Yep. And then lastly, this one will be your shocker. Now, this one has a good chance of not happening, but at the same time, I think this is going to play back historically that we've seen before. I think the 7th seed is going to be the Denver Broncos. They have a quarterback that does a really good job of not losing games, and they have a top 5 defense.
Now, wait a minute. When we talked about the AFC West, we said that there were no other teams even worth mentioning in this. And I know we were just talking about the division winner, but if you have the Chargers and the Broncos in the playoffs, couldn't you at least say that they're going to push the Chiefs just a little bit to make it interesting?
They're not. They're going to lose both games to the Chiefs. There's not going to be. Now, I think the Broncos may actually steal one, but honestly, I think they're going to lose both games to the Chiefs.
Yeah. And, usually each year, what's interesting about that and what makes me think that you're onto something is that the Chargers and the Broncos do push them whenever they play them. Like, since Mahomes has been the quarterback, just for some reason, the Broncos and the Chargers push them.
Divisional. They know each other.
Yeah. It's something more than that. It's just.
Well, you're probably right. It could be because
when Justin Herbert got in last year, when that unfortunate medical incident happened with Tyrod Taylor, it was against the Chiefs,
and it was a good game.
He knew exactly what he was doing.
Hell, the Raiders beat them. The Raiders won a game. The Raiders were able to push the Chiefs
convincingly.
Convincingly, yeah. So I get you on that, but I don't think that either of them really going to push the Chiefs as far as taking the division away. But I do think that they'll be the division that will have 3 teams in there. I
like that.
I am sold on the Broncos defensively.
I like that.
Led by Von Miller, I think they're going to be even better. And then, like I said, Teddy Bridgewater is really good at not losing games. And that's all you need. It's basically Peyton Manning when he was noodle arm. That's what I feel like this team is. I feel like this defense is almost with Patrick Surtain the second out there too. Nasty. That's the reason why I'm picking the Broncos to make the playoffs this year.
I like that. I like that a lot. Yeah. I too have a division with 3 playoff teams in the AFC, but not who you think. All right, so my playoff seeding actually is similar to yours. I have the Chiefs at 1. I have the Browns instead of the Ravens at 2. Dolphins instead of the Bills at 3. And I've got the Titans at 4. Wildcard teams, I've got the Ravens, who are going to make it in.
Of course.
It's still, of course, a solid team. Bills, they're going to be back as well. They're a for-real team.
Yep.
And last team in the AFC to make the playoffs, the New England Patriots. Led by Mac and Cheese Jones, is going to make the playoffs this year, giving the AFC East 3 teams in the AFC playoffs.
You think?
I do.
You think that the AFC East is going to have 3 teams?
Yes. Because
I am impressed.
Yeah. But with the Pats, that's probably the most surprising pick. People focus too much on Mac Jones, and they forget all of those opt-ins that New England's going to get back on defense. In addition to the 2 tight ends they have a stable of running backs. Behind Damian Harris, you have Ramondre Stevenson, who was a beast in the preseason, and just decent receivers. New England never has, outside of Randy Moss, whatever, they never really have big-time receivers who can really break the game open, even though they spent money in free agency on receiver. Just some odd choices, Nelson Aguilar and Kendrick Bourne from San Francisco, but, whatever. The open guy is going to be the star receiver in this league because that's how I talk about the accuracy with Mac Jones.
That's good point.
His best trait. Yeah.
So
I think that they're going to surprise a lot of people. And I think Belichick needs this. This is, I won't say is as legacy defining as winning 6 Super Bowls, obviously, but the narrative post 6 Super Bowls that you can't do anything without Tom Brady, who was the real Patriots way. He's got a little something more in this, Bill Belichick. So he can't afford to not make the playoffs. So the Pats are going to be your last team in.
Wow, you actually have the Patriots. That's fascinating that you actually have the Patriots.
I do.
Wow.
I'm a believer. Like I said, people focus way too much on Mac Jones, and you forget who the coach is, and you forget all those veterans on both sides of the ball, and the fact that the Patriots do not beat themselves.
Okay, so your two teams in for the AFC are the Patriots and the Dolphins.
The Dolphins barely missed last year. Yep, Pats and Dolphins. So out. Steelers and Colts, you're out.
Yeah, I think that I'm with you there. And as much as I like, it is funny we have the exact same teams in. I as much as I like. This is the thing about the Steelers, and I'm gonna give them props on this portion of it. Is they will have a winning record. Mike Tomlin will keep the streak going. You know he's never had a losing record in his coaching career.
Yes.
He will keep that streak going. So I'm impressed that Tomlin is able to do that. So shout out to my mans for being able to do that because
the standard is a standard.
Oh my God. That's impressive to come in and coach a team for because he's been there at least 11 years.
Yes,
and he has not had a losing record. Shout out to that man there.
Mm-hmm. It's a good coach. Real good coach.
So next up, we're going to talk about conference championships, Super Bowl, and awards.
All right.
In just a minute. Final part of the preview. Let's go with conference championships, Super Bowl champs, and then the awards. The awards I'm really excited about because I think it's going to be really interesting on what Jimmy actually picks as his awards. So,
yes.
Let's dive into the main thing. Conference championship, Jimmy. Who do you have going in the NFC conference championship?
In the NFC, in the conference championship for the second straight year, we're going to have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It's going to be actually the path is going to be easier this year. Last year they had to go the wild card route.
Yep.
Right. And this year is going to be much easier because I do have them as the number one seed,
right.
So they'll get home field throughout. But facing them, I'm going to go with the LA Rams. I am that much of a believer in this Rams team. And I think the Packers, see, here's the thing. Aaron Rodgers, to me, and I know he's great, just fantastic talent and all that. But I don't think he would truly be invested in this team. We all know he has 1 foot in, 1 foot out.
Yes.
And I know he's going to play hard for his teammates, and he wants to win. But I think that it'll be in the second round, I believe, where the Rams and the Packers will probably, it doesn't matter. The Bucs or the Rams, they're going to put the Packers out. It's something about Aaron Rodgers that really turned me off with how he handled everything this offseason. And I know there were a lot of big time sports broadcasters do shows really fanboying over Aaron Rodgers and totally excusing what he did. This was a very immature. I cannot imagine Tom Brady or Russell Wilson handling an offseason like this. Of the two, Russell Wilson is more likely to do that because he kind of chirps a little bit when he wants something from the organization. But I don't see big time mature quarterbacks who know exactly what they want handling the offseason just like he did. So I think that at some point he's going to have to pay for that, and is going to be in the playoffs when the Rams beat him, and the Rams are going to face the Bucs in the NFC Championship.
Wow. The Rams. Okay. Interesting. So, of course, I got my Buccaneers making it.
Yeah.
We're gonna be on the road towards a repeat, especially bringing everybody back like they did.
Yep.
That to me is a sign that Tampa Bay is prepared to do really big things once again, and they have some depth, something that I didn't think that we would have, especially bringing everybody back. We got a little bit of depth, so we'll be prepared if we do have some injuries. We'll be prepared for that battle of attrition. And Tom Brady's still quarterbacking, and it seems to be ageless. But I have the Bucs playing the Dallas Cowboys. As long as Dak Prescott stays healthy, we got the Cowboys making it an NFC Championship game, baby. I'm doing it. I am with you, Cowboys fans. Me and you, we are together. We are one. I have the Cowboys battling the Bucs, and like you said, the Bucs are going to have a semi-easy road.
Yes,
because the Buccaneers are going to walk basically past everybody into that. The Cowboys are going to upset the Rams in the second round, and because they do that upset, they will see the Dallas Cowboys. They will see the Buccaneers.
I was hoping you would not do this to yourself. It's nothing at the end of that road but disappointment.
It is, but I think the Cowboys will upset the Seahawks. Then they're going to beat the Rams, and then they're going to play against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
I can see them beating the Seahawks, not the Rams.
And then AFC.
Our AFC conference championships, got the Chiefs making it again, blah, blah, blah. And facing them, Cleveland Browns.
Ooh.
I'm that much of a believer in the Cleveland Browns. I really don't see any weakness in this Cleveland Browns roster. So I think that they finally get there, not just the playoffs, but actually go deep and make it to the AFC Championship against the Chiefs.
Okay. Yeah. Well, see, I think the thing about the Browns is that they are the Browns, and they're going to do something because they are the Browns. But I'm actually in agreement with you. I am going to have the Cleveland Browns make it to the AFC Championship, and guess who they're going to play? the Baltimore Ravens. It's going to be the AFC North in the conference championship. Again, This is the thing that's going to happen what's going to help the Ravens is they're going to make some changes. They're adding running backs because they're dropping like flies. I just saw an announcement that just happened a couple minutes ago. They lost another running back, and they're working out 3 running backs to hopefully replace him. Hill.
Okay. She said Gus said, my fantasy season's over.
No, Gus.
Which, I mean, is Justice Hill?
Yeah, just Hill.
OSU, right?
State. Yep.
Yeah,
He went to O State.
I
So,
hate
yeah.
that. So
they lost Justice Hill.
So he's down if they're working out 3 running backs.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think, speaking of which, because I know that they, I guess, had conversations with Todd Gurley, because, Gurley's out there, Lev Bell is out there, and I think one other veteran running back is out there. Devontae Freeman's out there and somebody else. Do you think there's a chance any of them make it onto a roster?
So Le'Veon Bell and Freeman both are working out for the Ravens as we speak. So I'm assuming that they're probably going to pick up both because they need both.
Yeah.
Or Gurley. I mean, to be honest, I'd take Le'Veon Bell and Todd Gurley and just see what happens.
Yeah. Try to capture a little lightning somewhere.
Yeah, something. Lightning in the bottle. And I think Le'Veon Bell would do really good with Lamar Jackson.
He'll have plenty of, motivational get back since he's in the same division with the Steelers.
Exactly. It's totally worth it.
Yeah.
Do it. Pull the trigger on him and Todd Gurley and just have both of them so you have depth. So I've got the Ravens and the Browns getting ready for the Super Bowl. And who do you have in the Super Bowl, Jimmy?
In the Super Bowl, I've got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They're going to get there. I could see that NFC Championship game being pretty tough, just like the one last year was. And I could see, instead of Brady throwing 3 second-half interceptions, I could see Stafford kind of going full Detroit and throwing 3 interceptions in the second half. Once that pass rush is after him and he can't run the ball. Yeah. So, but the Bucs are going to get there from the NFC.
Same. Buccaneers. I'm sensing.
I mean, there's just no reason not to pick the Buccaneers. Yep. I mean, anybody could lose, anybody could win, but just with the Buccaneers, like, that's unprecedented. Like, when you see a team do something unprecedented where they bring all their starters back from the Super Bowl, then you should expect unprecedented things, or at least things we haven't seen in a long time.
People have been betting against Tom Brady since 2017 and learned a lesson that year. Like every year up until 2017, we realized, Tom Brady's we should probably. Then he wins the Super Bowl, and then he goes back to a Super Bowl, and then he wins another Super Bowl, and then he doesn't make it, and then he goes to another team and wins Super Bowl. At a certain point, you should realize we probably shouldn't bet against this dude at this point of his career because he's looking almost as good as he was back in his younger years. Now, I mean, this isn't, 07 and then 08 when he had Randy Moss. These aren't that, but we cannot overlook how good Brady has been. So, AFC, who you got?
AFC, who will be facing the Bucs in the Super Bowl. Where's the Super Bowl going to be this year? Do you know?
I don't know. Let me look up real quick.
Mm-hmm. We know it's not going to be in Tampa, at least, because that's where they played it last year. So facing them in the Super Bowl will be the Cleveland Browns. They finally
they're playing at SoFi.
Oh, fantastic! Is going to be the Cleveland Browns, who have not been anywhere near the Super Bowl
sniffed one
since the 60s. Jim Brown in the 60s. So this is the year they finally do it, beating the Chiefs in a thriller. We'll say 28-25 in Kansas City, which would be just fine for them because they're in Cleveland. They're used to the cold outside weather.
It's always cold. Yeah.
Yep. So it's going to be the Bucs and the Browns.
You picked the Browns. I'm impressed. And who wins it?
Tom Brady repeats again for the first time since 03-04.
Yep.
Doing something that no one could thought he'd do again. And then after that, he's going to retire. But yeah, I'm kidding. He's not going to retire.
There's no such thing as retirement in that.
Right, because then he's got to try for the three-peat.
Yeah.
What did Jordan say? Bird and Magic never three-peated.
So exactly. Right. Yeah. Let's go for it. Exactly.
So the Buccaneers, get used to them. Find a reason to like them. If you don't, just appreciate what you're seeing because we may not see this for a long time. You're not going to see a Tom Brady for a very long time.
And you're not going to see a team be able to come back together every year.
Exactly.
For a long time.
Exactly. So it's going to be the Bucs. Congratulations, Jay. Get your T-shirt pre-ordered.
Yeah. I actually am going to pre-order my T-shirt for
do it after the show.
2021 championship. Yeah. So I got the Bucs winning as well. I'm not even going to waste time even saying anything else. I wasn't sold on my Bucs last year, and I am very much a cautious optimistic when it comes to a lot of this stuff. Mm-hmm. But this is probably the one year I've actually had confidence in this team doing something. So hopefully they go, and then of course Oklahoma wins the national championship. That'd be the first time that both teams that I actually like.
Are you very superstitious, Jay?
No.
Okay.
Zero superstition with it.
Because I was going to say, if you are, then what you should do is just doubt your Buccaneers all season long.
Yeah. I plan on betting against them every week for the whole season just for the fun of it. See how much I lose. We'll see what happens.
Right.
Well,
right.
I'll keep tally of that. So, awards. Let's go ahead and wrap this bad boy up. Do you want, you know what? Let's go backwards. We'll make MVP last.
Okay. MVP's last.
So let's start off with Coach of the Year.
Coach of the Year, someone who I was high on, who surprised you, is going to be Brian Flores.
Ooh.
I think that breaking through with the 3 seed in the AFC, and I think he already has so much positive equity with what he's doing and what he's done with his Dolphins team. Very short turnaround, as well as having been a part of the Patriots' winning ways. He's got a lot of positivity propelling him forward, so he's going to be that coach. He's that kind of coach that the media wants to win this award. So as long as they have a good enough record, top 5, top 6 record in the NFL, he's going to win it. So it's going to be Brian Flores of Miami.
All right, I've got Sean McVay. I think he's going to win it because he's going to have the number 1 record in the NFC. He's going to pull that out.
Did he win it that year they went to the Super Bowl? They just took the league by storm. I'm just curious about that.
That's a good question. Let me see real quick. I don't think. Honestly, I don't know. He may have. He did. He won in 2017. Mm-hmm. So he did win Coach of the Year his first year with the Rams. I think he wins it again. Mm-hmm. Adding a quarterback out there, still top 4 defense, probably top 2 defense the way the Rams play.
Yep.
Looking a little bit more healthy too. I think that they end up. I think that he ended up doing big things. So
okay.
I'm going to give him that. Next award, let's go to rookies. Let's go. Offensive Rookie of the Year.
Offensive Rookie of the Year is going to be Mac Jones.
Ooh,
I think
macaroni.
It is good. Macaroni. Yeah. I think that you can cancel out because you look at all right, 5 quarterbacks. You have 3 who are going to start immediately. You have Mac Jones, you have Zach Wilson, and you have Trevor Lawrence. The Jags, though entertaining, they're going to lose a lot. The Jets, they're going to lose a lot.
Yeah.
And I think Mac Jones, especially if he can do what I'm predicting that he gets them to the playoffs and tops out at about, 4,000 yards, 26, 27 touchdowns, among the better first-year rookie quarterback stats, then I think that because people, what they're going to start to see is they're going to start to see shades of Brady in him. And even though a lot of people hate Brady, a lot of people love Brady, they're going to really appreciate that. And that's going to help sort of drive the narrative that this is Tom Brady 2.0. So he's going to get a lot of attention. He's going to get a lot of attention anyway. But I think that Mac Jones, of the quarterbacks who are going to play probably all 16, all 17 games, it's going to be Mac Jones. And he's going to get paid back for dropping in the draft like he did.
Oh, wow.
Yep, Mac Jones.
That is...
Yeah. A surprising turn of events, I know.
Yeah, I did not expect you to actually
Who'd you think I was going to say?
I didn't think it was going to be Mac Jones. It just felt like that wouldn't be a Mac Jones pick. But
okay.
My bad. I think this is kind of obvious, but at the same time, not too. I'm going with Trevor Lawrence. Okay. I think he's actually going to put up some solid numbers, even though he's going to spend most of his time on his back. As long as he survives the season, I think he has a really good chance of actually winning Rookie of the Year. I think the media conversation around him is going to be it's going to be so focused on him, unless a running. I was thinking about a running back taking it first because that's usually someone that's just going to just take the league by storm. But I think Trevor can take the league by storm this year on his own, even with bad records.
I think his receiving core is going to be better than people think, especially adding Marvin Jones Jr., who had nearly 1,000 yards last year.
Yeah.
Was the number 1 receiver, I think, in Detroit. He's going to be a lot better. He's got a lot better weapons to throw to than people think. When you had Laviska Shenault his second year, you had DJ Chark, who's a borderline Pro Bowler. I think that what they're going to do in the draft is they're going to go tight end because that's something that I don't really think they have that's really a threat. So whoever that tight end was last night for Notre Dame that their new quarterback was throwing all those passes to, that's probably who they're going to go after because that dude was fantastic. But, yeah, I could see Trevor Lawrence.
So behind him, though, I have either Jalen Waddle out in Miami,
I like
their
that.
Dolphins,
I like that.
or even Najee Harris. I think it's going to be could have been one of those as well. All right, Defensive Rookie of the Year.
Defensive Rookie of the Year is going to be J.C. Horn, cornerback out of Carolina. I'm telling you, man, this Carolina defense is a bit better than people think. And when I first looked at this, I thought, all right, I like Patrick Surtain the second, but J.C. Horn, since Surtain's really good, but J.C. Horn, he's a bona fide, he's just a pure dog. And before the 49ers made their trade up, I was looking at some mock drafts who they might take,
right?
And quite a few of them had them taking J.C. Horn, which the team needed cornerback play. But so I got to look at some film on him, some stuff like that. Obviously we all know that he's the son of Joe Horn, who was every bit as fiery as his dad was, the wide receiver out of the Saints.
It's crazy how we're seeing all of these legends.
It's going to be now. It's going to be J.C. Horn, and pay attention to Micah Parsons as well. In Dallas.
That is my selection. Micah Parsons. He's actually was my number one. My number two was Patrick Surtain, the second, and then third was J.C. Horn. I think he's going to be really good too. But I think he's going to be Micah Parsons. He's going to lead that defense for Dallas. If Vander Esch can stay healthy, which I'm really hoping he does, I think that Vander Esch is going to be able to do what he wants, and Parsons is just going to just basically take over. I think he may pull a Darius Leonard and lead the league in tackles.
Right.
I really do think that Parsons is going to be all over the place. As long as he maintains health, there's no reason why he didn't win it.
Okay.
All right. Offensive player of the year.
Offensive player of the year. Now, this was really going to shock you. My offensive player of the year, told you I was high on Cleveland, right? Nick Chubb.
Okay.
Of Cleveland. Now, what someone may say is, well, won't Kareem Hunt take carries away from him? Well, no, because Chubb, he's not going to take carries from Chubb. He may take receptions from him because Kareem Hunt is better at that. But I think Chubb, he's just been like right on the verge of just really breaking through and getting into that top tier, top 3, top 4 running back, class. So I think that he's going to get anywhere from 1,400 to 1,500 yards and 13 touchdowns. And to me, that's going to be the driving thrust as to what's going to truly get them over the hump into the Super Bowl.
There's been a few talking heads that said that they believe he's the best pure runner in the league right now.
I've heard that. So I don't think that's.
I don't know if I disagree, though. I mean,
pure runner. Well, then how would you? What is Derrick Henry? If he's just a pure runner, what is whatever Derrick Henry does? What is that?
Derrick Henry's Derrick Henry. He's his own category. We just call him that. He's a man.
Fair enough.
So my offensive one, I like the Chubb pick. I didn't really think of it that way, but I'm going with Alvin Kamara. Now, I think he's going to be a sleeper on that, and this is why. I was listening to the Athletics football show. Made a great, I forgot who it was off the top of my head, but on their show, and they had me in the comments as a guest, he made mention of the Saints offense. The year before they had got Winston, when Jameis was with Tampa Bay, Jameis led the league in air yards on his pass. He threw the ball the furthest on a regular basis. The last one on the list on that, number 41, Drew Brees. He never threw it deep. You bring in Jameis Winston, that's going to open up the field. They don't have Michael Thomas to run the slants anymore, and he will probably go more deep with Jameis too, but he's not out there. So Jameis is going to be able to put the ball in the air more. That's going to open up the dump for Alvin Kamara. So I think Alvin Kamara is going to go for 1,000 and 1,000.
I mean, and I think that's a big part of how you cut down on Jameis's interceptions. You tell him that you have this just unbelievably talented check down who's going to make you look good because you're going to do a 2 or 3 dump off. He's going to take it for 13 or 14, and by the end of the game, you're going to have 350 passing yards. You won't know where they came from. They came from Alvin Kamara.
I think Alvin Kamara is going to end up doing what Christian McCaffrey did a couple years ago. He's going to get 1,000 yards rushing and 1,000 yards receiving, just because of Jameis Winston being able to, like I said, spread the field because people know he has no problem. He loves throwing it deep. And then he's going to be able to hit him on some good plays.
And another reason why I really like your pick, and this is also another reason why I like my pick, Saints have a top 5 offensive line, just like the Browns.
Boom. There you go.
Yep.
All right, defensive player of the year.
Defensive player of the year. Now, who won it last year? Was it Aaron Donald?
Of course.
It's going to be Jalen Ramsey this year.
Really?
Yes. This is his year. I think that because we talked about Russ is going to cook all season long, so he's gonna have plenty of opportunities to pick him off. You can just see in that division whether it's maybe not so much Jimmy Garoppolo, but when Trey Lance takes over because he has a stronger arm, he's going to try to throw the ball deeper, which is a big mistake against Jalen Ramsey. And Kyler, he's such a good passer as well. That's a huge part of their air raid offense as well.
Yeah.
So he's going to get plenty of opportunities just in the division to shine. Actually, beginning Sunday night against the Bears with Andy Dalton, he's going to turn him over at least twice. Okay? Yeah, just to start the season and already get eyes on him as far as defensive player of the year, because Aaron Donald's going to chase him out of the pocket. He's going to make throws that he knows he shouldn't make, throws he can't make, and Jalen Ramsey is going to be right there to style and profile and pick it off. So
all right,
Jalen
Ramsey.
This is his year. Jalen Ramsey.
Jalen Ramsey. All right. Well, I think it's going to continue to flip flop like it's been doing. It's going to go to Khalil Mack this year, though. It's going to just keep it in the house. It's going to be between Aaron Donald, Khalil Mack, one or two. I think Khalil Mack's going to go out there and make a statement. The Bears are going to be a lot better than advertised. I think once they put Justin Fields out there, they'll be able to truly compete. They'll be round the cuffs of the playoff, but just miss it. But I think that defense is going to be anchored with him. Roquan Smith is doing a really good job of being a better linebacker, and he's starting to play like the first round pick that we expected him to be out of Georgia. And so I think that this is the year that Mac just goes out there and terrorizes everybody because the defense is around him will do enough to keep everyone else busy to where they have three guys on him and he's still going to get in there. So I'm giving it to Khalil Mack. Probably going to be completely off because somebody else is going to do it. Probably Darius Leonard or something. Hell, Micah Parsons might end up doing it or something.
It's so many just great defensive players.
It's hard to pick, which is crazy to me that Aaron Donald has won it so many times. It's just, and I understand why, but at the same time, just like you would think someone else would have the opportunity to. But anyway, MVP. Give me your shocking MVP selection.
My shocking MVP selection is Matthew Stafford. 5,200 yards, 40 touchdowns, leading the Rams to the NFC Championship. And your boy Sean McVay, too, Coach of the Year, Matthew Stafford, finally lives up to the first-round pick hype coming out of Georgia. This is the year. This is the only year he has a chance to do this because once people have 17-plus games worth of tape on him and what he is as far as the Rams quarterback, then next year he's going to be good, but not as good as this. This is the year he breaks through. 5,200 yards, 40 touchdowns.
So I think this is probably the last show that we're going to have, period.
Oh, boy.
Because this actually just annoys the hell out of me.
Oh, no.
Because I picked Matthew Stafford to win the MVP as well. Yes. And this is the reason why. Not saying he is the best player in the league, but I am on the exact same number as you. I'm at 52 to 5,300 yards. I'm at least 40 touchdowns. We're going to get the 2011 Matt Stafford when he had Megatron, when he threw 5,100 yards, 41 touchdowns. We're getting him back. Why? He's got a top 4 defense, minimum, and then he's got receivers.
Yes.
He's got at least 3 and a good tight end. I love Higbee at tight end, even though they lost Everett. I think that hurts
Higbee's
a little bit.
Not fast, but he's good.
But he's good. He'll catch. It's all that matters. But you got Kupp, you've got Woods,
Deshaun Jackson to take the top off, and Van Jefferson. That's it.
They've got everything perfect. And at the same time, because he's got such a great defense, something that Stafford's never had, and all these offensive weapons, he's got a head coach who's played quarterback for the last at least 4 years. And because of that, Stafford can go out there and he can pick his coach's brain or he can use his own brain. So it's going to be a lot easier. It's going to be a lot smoother. And as you said, he's going to finally live up to the hype that he had coming out of Georgia, coming in as the number 1 draft pick in the NFL before he even went to college. He was that highly touted as a recruit. I believe that Matt Stafford does the exact same thing that you just said. I think I put it like this. If Stafford doesn't get 5,000 yards this year, Matthew Stafford is a bust, and they should go ahead and let him go afterwards. There's no excuse this year. This is perfect. This is the perfect scenario that any quarterback of his caliber could dream of.
And the Super Bowl's in your new stadium. Come on, man.
You didn't go to the Super Bowl, but MVP, there's no excuse not to win it. None.
Kendrick, none.
I hate you. Woo, man, I love a preview show. Love the info we put into it. So let's wrap it up.
Yep.
Put a bow on it. Let's talk about the quarterback. So we've got the NFL season starting up. As we mentioned, we've gone through our previews and everything. So if you want to watch the previews on YouTube, if you're watching us on YouTube, go to YouTube. If you're on the podcast and you just catch this portion of the episode, just rewind it back a few hours. You'll get, because this is a good long episode just for you all, because we want to prepare for the NFL season.
Yeah.
Super excited because this is my favorite time of the year. College football pass, NFL. So now we got to talk about rookies. So this is 2020 from the 2021 draft is the first time since 1999 we had 5 quarterbacks drafted in the first round. Let me remind you of all who was drafted in 1999. At quarterback, you had the number 1 pick, which was Tim Couch. Number 2 pick, Donovan McNabb. Number 3 pick, Akili Smith. Next quarterback, number 11, Dante Culpepper. And the 12th pick in the 1999 NFL Draft, Cade McNown. He's a noun, not a verb. So we've got that. That was the draft there. So this year we had 5 more. All of them are projected to start at some point, similar to what they were. But the one thing we know about being drafted in the NFL is that ain't everybody gonna hit. Somebody's gonna flame out. Somebody's not gonna last. I mean, we saw that with like Jake Locker with the Cam Newton draft and Blaine Gabbert. Even though Blaine Gabbert's still around.
He's a champion too, by the way.
He's a champion too. Something that Cam doesn't have, but he didn't start either. So you have players that you realize that aren't going to make it. And so we're at this point now. And so I mentioned earlier in the show and also in one of the early videos, 5 things that I look at when it comes to teams and the importance of what they look like. Coach, quarterback, additions, subtractions, and how they finished last year. There's a reason why quarterback is second. The reason why quarterback is second is because sometimes a coach can make you look a lot better than what you really are. We've seen that. Jared Goff was drafted number 1. Jared Goff also got like $100 million from the Rams, and the Rams were quick to trade him. How often do you see quarterbacks traded? The last quarterback not traded, but the last quarterback that actually was given walking papers with Kirk Cousins. You don't see that very often. It's not very often a high caliber quarterback is available like that. So now we got to figure out, Jimmy, what the hell is going to happen with these 5 that we have? So we've got Trevor Lawrence. We have Zach Wilson. You have Justin Fields, Macaroni Jones, and Trey Lance. We've got to decide who do you feel like is the first one out of the 5 that will fizzle out.
First one out of the 5 who will fizzle out.
I know it's a tough one, right?
I tried to have fun with this. I tried to look at alternative viewpoints to not pick this particular player.
Oh, God.
But all the roads, as far as who's going to flame out first, led right back to MetLife Stadium in New York and Zach Wilson. One thing you don't like that he's got a defensive coach. Yes, out of San Francisco, so I do have a lot of respect for Robert Saleh. But he's got a defensive coach. You have a team that free agents don't want to play for unless they're overpaid defensive players who get hurt. You've already had injuries to your wide receiver core. Your offensive line is not ever mentioned amongst the best or the better or just good offensive lines in the NFL. You have no run game that you can depend on that actually threatens a defense that they have to scheme for instead of focusing all their attention on you and putting 7 in a box. So the first to flame out, I think, because of how it's set up, because of coach, because of organization, because he's looked at as the savior to come in and save this franchise, and a quarterback who was better than him in college, Sam Darnold, couldn't do it there. So why should I believe that you will? I don't care what Tony Romo said about you, that you're going to be mentioned amongst the top 3 or top 5 quarterbacks or quarterbacks of all time. Whatever he said, it's not going to happen with Zach Wilson. It's not designed that way for it to happen. So probably at mostly no fault of his own, he's still going to be the first to flame out.
Okay.
Zach
wow. I have a little bit more faith in him being the guy. I think he'll last longer than we expect.
Okay.
The one I think that's going to fizzle out, I feel really bad even thinking this, but I feel like this guy has the lowest floor of all of them. It's going to be Trey Lance. The only reason why I'm picking Trey Lance is that they're going to put way too much on him too early, and it may not work out. Because he is a 100% project. He's a raw talent. You can tell he hasn't thrown the ball in a couple of years because they didn't play last year in 2020 with everything with COVID. He does, and he just doesn't look like. He doesn't look comfortable yet. Now, there's a chance that Shanahan can work magic, but I think that Shanahan is a victim of his own genius, and he feels like he's smarter than everybody else, and he can do anything with anybody. And I think that him throwing him out there, he's going to throw him out there a lot earlier than he should, may end up making his career go down the other direction.
This is odd. I want to show you something. Here's a note, a small little section about what we're talking about. Read the name that's right there as to who I was going to say.
Oh, God. You said Lance.
I said Lance.
He said Trey Lance. Yeah.
Now, That is just bizarre. You swung me, though, because you mentioned the quarterback-coach combination, and we know that offensive-minded coach with quarterback is usually a much better combination.
Yes,
you can still win without it because Brady won with Belichick. Belichick is all defense. He can't even spell offense. So you can win that way. But the reason I initially chosen Lance was, one, and I watched all their preseason games, as you can imagine.
That's a 49ers fan, you would.
Accuracy was a problem.
Yeah.
Ball speed was a problem. Not that he can't throw the ball hard enough. He threw the ball too hard. And there's a quarterback who used to be notorious for that, who would always dislocate or break their receivers' fingers and throw a lot of interceptions. Brett Favre.
And John Elway. Yeah, they're both infamous for that, yes.
Yeah, but more so the Favre angle in the sense of, is he still the all-time leader in interceptions?
Yes.
Yeah, which you can't do if you're going to – that's probably a big part of the reason why he only won MVP. I mean, he's still Favre, but I don't like that in my quarterbacks, that they don't control their ball speed. And, you know, of all these quarterbacks, he's the only one who didn't play any Division I football, and that's got to affect you in terms of your learning curve. Now, you know, obviously people rave about Trey Lance in the organization just in terms of his intelligence, in terms of how committed he is to the playbook, how focused he is and everything. So he'll overcome that. But as far as before he flames on, he may flame out first. Obviously, I hope he doesn't because he's the quarterback of the future of my franchise.
Of your franchise, yeah.
I've got a lot of things that bother me, and the fact that he's just come through an injury. Insignificant to some people, but he sort of had a micro fracture in one of his fingers last preseason game, threw the ball, hit his hand on someone's helmet, stuff like that. I just still kind of don't like that going into the season. So there are some things about Lance that make me very uncomfortable, which is the reason why I want Jimmy G to start the whole season, which means that he's good, and it gives Trey Lance to really acclimate himself to being a quarterback on and off the field. He's not ready. He's not ready to play.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. And I didn't think about the angle with Brett Favre, him throwing the ball too hard. Because, Favre had 336 interception in his career, which is almost...
probably most of them tips, too. Yeah. Not making the wrong read.
Just flying off their fingers because their hands like swollen because they broke it trying to catch that rocket flying by them. Right. So, you're right. And that has been my fear with Trey Lance, is that I think they're going to throw him in too early, and that's what helps him fizzle. If he doesn't play this year, I think you have a really good chance of him being good later. I think his floor rises at that point because he'll make better decisions. But I feel like Shanahan's going to be impatient because this team is kind of built to win today, especially with that defensive setup. They're going to want to throw him out there with that run game and make it happen. And then also the other problem is going to be is that Trey Lance is a mobile quarterback. So they may make a couple of design runs to get him out there going. And he's going to get blasted.
It's nothing I can already see in his preseason games. He either does not like to slide or he has not quite learned how to slide. That's
what it is. He hasn't learned how to slide. You can tell he's not a former baseball player.
Right.
And that bothers me with any quarterback that plays like that. That's the one thing I love about Lamar Jackson. That's one thing I rave about him being a good scrambler, is that he knows how to not get hit hard. Like, only time he gets hit hard is when he's sacked, just like every other quarterback gets hit hard when they're sacked. But when he's running,
no clean shots.
No clean shots. They're all chips on his arms and stuff because he knows how to fall and get out of the way. And at the same time, he's so elusive, it's hard. Trey Lance does not look like he knows how to slide. And because of that may get him killed.
Yep.
So, with that, Jimmy, what's on the editing room floor?
Editing room floor, Jay, what did make it into the show? So, the Houston Texans head coach David Culley announced today that Tyrod Taylor is going to be the starting quarterback of the Texans week 1, which we knew he was. I believe they play the Jaguars, I want to say. Yeah, so that'll be an entertaining game for all the wrong reasons. But
you're right. The Jaguars is going to be very entertaining this year.
They're probably going to win that game, as a matter of fact.
Oh, see?
I might actually take them. You might want to think about them in your Frozen 5 this week.
Yeah, I'm going to consider that. They're in Houston, but good point.
All right, so up next, I don't know if you saw this video clip of, and we didn't mention this, LSU was upset by UCLA on Saturday. A really good game. I watched a good portion of it.
Me too.
And they were in part fueled by Ed Orgeron, who entered the stadium, made a somewhat disparaging remark about the shade of blue that the UCLA Bruins wear. So there is a tweet, Instagram, a video that was made by UCLA about the quote he made or what he said going into the stadium, making fun of it, and them celebrating after they beat them. So I don't know if you got a chance to see that.
I did. I loved it. I thought it was hilarious. It was perfect. It was perfect. Oh, yeah. UCLA selling a shirt that says Sissy Blue with the big U on it.
I want one.
I might order me one just because.
If you do, let me know where you get it from.
I'm ordering from them. I'll order us two because I think it's great. But remember this too. Orgeron was a coach at USC.
Ah.
So of course, he has a little beef with them. He's
Okay.
always had beef with them because that's just
So it runs deep.
It runs
Okay.
deep. It
I
runs
like
deep.
it.
So yeah,
like
I got
it.
why he made the shot.
Yeah, but I'm the Chip Kelly UCLA. I like that. I like UCLA.
Oh yeah.
do.
Chip Kelly's back. Hey, I mentioned this on another show before that. I think that UCLA may sneaky be.
Yeah.
We may have Chip Kelly back.
Pay attention. Pay attention.
attention.
To him.
What
All
else?
right. So lastly, just in a surprise signing that only a 49ers fan might care about. You may remember this cornerback, Josh Norman, who was the best cornerback in the league for maybe a year, at least until he got paid by Washington. He has signed with the San Francisco 49ers to add depth to their secondary, which I'd even forgotten that he was out there.
I didn't even know he was
Yeah, I believe
available.
he played for the Bills last year. I think he was more their nickel corner.
Yeah.
Do you think he'll make much of a difference?
I think his leadership will help. He's very good in the zone, is what everybody kind of points out about him. He's a very good zone defender, and he knows how to spacing and everything in that. So no, I think he'll help. I think he'll help the young guys.
Yeah.
Would you like a mentor like that?
Yeah, so and you think like he had one of those sort of Jalen Ramsey type personalities, but if you're going to have that, you got to be able to produce more than a year because he had that one great season in Carolina. Was that the Super Bowl season that they had? Then he got the bag from Washington, and then after that, he was okay in Washington, went to Buffalo, nickel corner. They didn't really depend on
He
him.
got tossed by Derrick Henry.
Yeah, all I really care about is what his speed is on Madden. That's what I want to know as to whether or not he can play nickel corner for me or if I keep him on the bench. So you got to be at least 91 speed.
That's so rude. All
That's
right.
wrong. But I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I can see that. Well, with that, we appreciate y'all joining us as usual here on Unfair Sports, our extended edition for the NFL coming season. Thank you for watching us on YouTube. Make sure you like and subscribe as well as share. Sharing is caring. And thank you for listening to us wherever you get your podcasts downloaded and listen to. So for Mike, Bob, and Wendy, thank you so much for the production and doing what you do best on the back end. Thank you, Jimmy, for bringing the usual fire as we get ready to prepare for the preview. So hit us up on the Unfair Fan Line, 430-901-1906, and tell us how wrong or right we are with our predictions for the season. I think that it's going to be...
I'm probably going to get fried for the Dolphins pick.
Oh, you're going to get roasted. I'm going to make sure to clip that too and send it to everybody. Hey, guys, what do you think about this call out? No. Let us know what you think. 430-901-1906. And with that, we will chop it up in a few days. Peace.